So it's just hit full time at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Burnley nil, and Arsenal get over the line. They get over the last hurdle of their home games for the season, and they beat Burnley 1-0, which means they are literally one win away from their first Premier League title in 22 years. You know what I'm saying? They got it done, got it over the line. You could tell this one was big for Arsenal. Again, they're all big for Arsenal, you know what I'm saying? With Arsenal, it always feels dramatic. Like Patrice Evra said, it's like a Netflix documentary. You're just waiting for the next season. But this one for Arsenal, unlike the other seasons, which have included disappointment and heartbreak, this one is looking like it's gonna end in joy, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna live happily ever after type of thing. But nah, fair play to Arsenal. They got the result. You know, there was grown men in the crowd. You know, they were crying. They were just stressed. They were just begging for that final whistle. You saw Mikel Arteta. He was begging for it. Declan Rice was begging for the final whistle. All of them, man, were begging for the final whistle. And when it finally came, the absolute relief from Arsenal, you know what I'm saying? Just to get over the line, knowing that all they have to do is just beat Palace on the final day. Beat a Palace side that would have nothing really to play for. I'm pretty sure by then they would already have played the Europa Conference League, or I don't know if the Conference League is after or before that game. I think it might be before. I mean, it might be after. We don't know, but no matter, depending on whether it's before or whether it's after, it's a Palace side that's probably going to be heavily rotated, which gives Arsenal an advantage on that last day of the season to just get the win and lift the Premier League at Selhurst Park. But let's get into the actual game, man. Let's get into the actual game. Burnley started bright, to be fair. Burnley actually looked like they wanted to come out, spoil Arsenal's party. You know, their left back, you know, early stages, you know, he hit Saka with a little turn, you know what I'm saying? Fake to go back to his centre-back, turned on it, you know what I'm saying? Burnley had a little break with Chalmer down that right-hand side, did a step over, tried to get past Calafiori, but it was good defending, good 1v1 defending from Calafiori. But then after that, you know, Arsenal got their foot on the ball and they started playing, you know what I'm saying? I think the very good thing that Arsenal did today in the first half, in my opinion, was overloading the wings, you know what I'm saying? Combinations down the wings, especially that right-hand side, was very, very good. That's where most of their chances came from, to be honest. It was the little combinations, either on the left or on the right, you know what I'm saying? I can name multiple chances that came from those little combinations. Let's start with their short corners, because we all know Arsenal, they love their corners. Most goals in Premier League history this season, I'm pretty sure, from corners. But their first real chance came from a short corner. It came and it fell to Kai Havertz. But, you know, there must have been about 5 Arsenal players in that one corner. They overloaded that one corner and they just bopped it. They bopped it. The ball fell to Kai Havertz. You know, it was a hard volley situation, but he just sort of snatches it, you know what I'm saying? He snatches it. It did take a touch off the defender, but they still ruled it as a goal kick. But that was sort of the first time you saw, you know, Arsenal really overloading the wings, you know what I'm saying? They did it very, very well. Even there was Trossard on the other side. Him and Eze linking up. You know, Trossard played it into Eze. Eze just a little bounce pass back to Trossard. He cut inside, drifted past 2 players, and then he went for it. He wrapped it into the near post, but it did hit that post, you know what I'm saying? And Arsenal, they had a few chances, but I think they did very, very well in terms of overloading the wings, you know what I'm saying? The combinations, especially down that right-hand side, sometimes was just beautiful, to be honest. Odegaard, Saka, Havertz, Mosquera getting involved, you know what I'm saying? There were so many times where, you know, it fell to chances. There was Saka, the one where he takes the touch, he tries to whip it into that far corner, just wide. There was also the Saka one where, you know, it was sort of a cross-turn shot type of thing where he goes on his right foot, he sort of just floats it, and it causes the keeper some commotion because you're thinking, oh, it might just drop in here. But luckily for Burnley's sake, it didn't go into the back of the net, you know what I'm saying? But I think Arsenal, they did very, very well, just sort of overloading the wings. That's where their chances came from. I want to say the decision to play Kai Havertz instead of Victor Gyökeres in that first half, absolute, you know, masterstroke from Arteta, you know what I'm saying? Absolute masterstroke. Not because of just the Havertz goal, which we'll get into, but I just feel like in the overall scheme of play, Havertz was very, very good today in terms of just linking up, holding the ball. I mentioned those overloads. Kai Havertz, some of his link-up play with Saka down the right-hand side. That Havertz guy, he was popping up everywhere today. He was popping in on the right, on the left. He was popping in the little half spaces on the right, in the little half spaces on the left. You know what I'm saying? It was very, very good from Kai Havertz today. And then he did get his goal from that corner, you know what I'm saying? And for some reason, I just knew from that corner, I just had a feeling, yo, this is cash money, you know what I'm saying? As soon as I saw Saka whipping it in, I saw Havertz there, I was like, yeah, this is cash money. I think Gary Neville on commentary literally said before Saka was about to take it, he was like, yeah, Bukayo Saka, he normally just whips it in so beautifully, so delicately for an Arsenal player to head it in. And then he whips it in. I saw the trajectory of the ball and I was like, Havertz, 1-0, you know what I'm saying? But if any player deserved it on that pitch, for me, it was Kai Havertz. Now, at the end of the game, Declan Rice got man of the match, but for me, I would definitely say Kai Havertz man of the match for me. I don't know about the Declan Rice. I know I saw the stats on the Sky thing saying he was first. But in terms of impact for me, you know what I'm saying? In terms of impact, I feel like they've just sort of gone with the easy option. They're like, oh, just give it to Declan Rice. He finished the game, you know what I'm saying? He didn't play awful. I personally feel like in terms of impacts, like for Arsenal, Kai Havertz today was the man of the match. Arteta, for him to play him instead of Gyökeres after Gyökeres has been on a good run of goal scoring form, I think was a masterstroke from Arteta. I think he deserves big credit for starting Kai Havertz because I think Havertz was immense, especially in that first half. There was also times he put, like I said, it wasn't just on the right where he was linking up with Odegaard and Saka. There was times on the left he was popping up, and then there was the one time he did pop up, Arsenal nearly got a penalty from it, you know what I'm saying? Havertz, he finds himself in that channel between Walker and Tuanzebe. I did think, you know, especially at the end of that half, that gap between Walker and Tuanzebe was looking so vulnerable. Arsenal got into that channel a few times, you know what I'm saying? But the one I'm talking about, Kai Havertz, you know, he gets into that channel, plays a lovely ball across into Bukayo Saka. You're thinking, Saka, he's just going to tap it in. But he sort of gets a clip from behind from the Burnley left back who's recovering. It went to VAR and they said no penalty. And for me, I think I have to agree, you know what I'm saying? I think the Burnley player, he gets his foot in front of Saka's first and Saka just sort of kicks into his foot, you know what I'm saying? Saka kicks into his foot. So for me, no penalty, you know what I'm saying? For me, no penalty. Obviously, we know the rules. It has to be, you know, a clear and obvious error. That wasn't really a clear, obvious error, you know what I'm saying? And then there was a second time where Arsenal got into that channel in between Walker and Tuanzebe, but this time it was Calafiori. Calafiori, you know, he faked to cross it in with his left, cut it back to Martin Odegaard, and as it's falling to Martin Odegaard, you're just thinking, the ball's going to hit the back of the net. We know Odegaard, he's got a good technique. He's been criticised, you know, being trigger shy, not willing to shoot. But when he does shoot, especially in that position, you back a player of his quality with his technique to hit that in the back of the net. But ultimately, he got blocked by the Burnley midfielder, Ugo Chueku, or whatever his name is, man. The former Chelsea guy, Leslie, man. Let's call him Leslie, the former Chelsea player, Leslie, man. He got blocked by him. But yeah, I just think Arsenal in terms of overloading the wings, they did very, very well. There was also an Eze chance where, you know, he chested it, turned, hit the volley. We all know Eze scored that banger in the Champions League. He loves them positions, Eberici Eze. He loves, you know, the little shot just outside the box, you know what I'm saying? In the D, on the edge of the box, that he loves shooting from there. That's his range, that's his distance, you know what I'm saying? So when I saw it leave his boot, I was thinking, there might be a chance here, but luckily for Burnley, unluckily for Arsenal, Burnley keeper caught it. But yeah, I just think, you know, there were times in that first half, to be fair, I feel like Arsenal could have played the ball quicker. You could hear sort of the crowd sometimes, especially when Arsenal got the ball in transition. They always wanted to slow it down, and you could hear the crowd getting frustrated because the crowd wanted them to play quicker off that transition. The crowd wanted them to win the ball back and then spring straight away. But, you know, Arsenal, they've adopted this patient style, you know what I'm saying? And it works for them. When it doesn't work for them, you know, they do get a lot of criticism, but more times it does work for them, you know what I'm saying? You could see them being top of the league, it's worked for them this season. Them just adopting this patient style, just sort of having faith that the goal will come and having faith that their defense could hold out. You know, that triangle of Saliba, Gabriel, David Raya, even to be fair, the two fullbacks, Mosquera and Calafiori, can just hold out, you know what I'm saying? It feels like Arsenal, the reason they are so patient is because they sort of just have that belief that the goal will come. Whether it's from open play or whether it's from a set piece, the goal will come, you know what I'm saying? And that's a good trait to have as a team, you know what I'm saying? Knowing that, doesn't matter, you know, we don't have to rush things. It will come eventually, you know what I'm saying? It will come eventually, but yeah, Arsenal, they did move the ball a bit slowly at first, you know. Declan Rice sort of walking with the ball, not playing it quickly. Gabriel, Saliba sort of standing on the ball, not really playing it quicker. You know, you would like to see them get into their creative players, get into Saka, get into Trossard, Odegaard, Eze. But hey, that's the style that they've adopted, you know what I'm saying? And it works. But in my opinion, first half, 1-0 Arsenal. Big shout out to Kai Havertz, man. Kai Havertz was everywhere in that first half, you know what I'm saying? Just popping up everywhere. Combinations with Saka, Odegaard, Eze, Trossard, just all of them. And I feel like it was very, very good. Very, very good decision from Arteta to play Havertz instead of Gyökeres, simply because he knew that Arsenal would have a majority of the ball. Burnley would probably be sitting back in a low block. So, yeah, man, it made sense to play Kai Havertz in the 9 today, and it definitely paid off. And Arsenal went into the break at 1-0. In terms of the second half, though, the second half was a bit scrappy. You did have that chance for Arsenal, I want to say 10 minutes in, where Trossard plays a lovely ball into Kai Havertz. That man again popping up down that same left channel. He clips a little half volley into Eberici Eze. He has a header, but the header gets blocked. But after that, you know, it felt like Burnley did have a few moments. Burnley might have, if Arsenal didn't, you know, get a second goal, Burnley might get back into the game. There was a chance when, you know, Hannibal found himself with a bit of space, but he blazed his attempt over, you know. There in those situations, you know, a better team, you know, you get punished, or at least, you know, a player from a better team in the league making the keeper work from that position. But at the end of the day, these Burnley players are still professionals at the highest level. They get paid just like the Arsenal players get paid. So as from the Arsenal perspective, you couldn't really let that happen. You know what I'm saying? You just felt like Arsenal can't really let Burnley, you know, have space like that. You know what I'm saying? But to be fair, the second half was very, very scrappy. You know, guys getting into it. You know, that Fleming guy, he's an absolute menace, bro. You see him, yeah? He's an absolute menace, bro. I don't know what he was on today. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning, because that guy, he's an absolute menace, man. He was getting into it with Odegaard. He had the little thing with Raya. He was chirping. Who is he chirping with? Chirping with Saka. Like, that guy is a menace, bro. And I can't lie, he was horrific today. Like, his on the ball production, he was horrific today. He couldn't make the ball stick. Touches were bouncing off his foot, struggling to make a pass. Like, he was horror today. I don't know how his manager let him play the full 90 today, I'll be honest, because yeah, he was horrible, and he was just on bad timing today. He was just an absolute menace today, you know what I'm saying? It was crazy from him. Then you had, you know, the Kai Havertz the red card situation where, you know, they were checking VAR for violent conduct. The thing is, on the replay, it looks bad because Havertz does catch him high. But I feel like when you watch it in real time, or even when you watch it even in slow motion on the replay, you can kind of see that, yo, Havertz, yes, the foot is high. I admit the foot is high. It's you know, going down the guy's calf / Achilles, but you can tell there's no sort of malicious intent. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you could see there's malicious intent where a player has literally gone bang. Like, you can see the speed of the foot has just gone bang. It's like, all right, cool, he's meant to kick it. Whereas Havertz's foot, imagine this is the guy's Achilles. I feel like Havertz has just sort of slid in and it's just sort of just grazed him. You know what I'm saying? He sort of just grazed, you know, Leslie. Sort of just grazed him. You know what I'm saying? I do feel like, you know, that's a yellow card offense, you know what I'm saying? I don't think there's violent conduct. I don't think there's anything, you know, really violent about it. I don't think Havertz was trying to hurt the guy. I just think Havertz was trying to, maybe a bit of frustration from not getting the Saka foul just a few seconds before, but he's just trying to stop the attack, you know what I'm saying? I just think it's one of them, he's just trying to stop the attack, but he has gone in with his studs up. So I do think that should be a yellow card, simply because there was no violent conduct, no real ill intent, you know, really hurt the player, you know what I'm saying? And then there was, you know, the Hincapié one with Hincapié with Chalma, where they got into it. It was a very scrappy half. To be fair, you know, especially at the end. Burnley were trying to get the ball. Arsenal desperate for the final whistle to occur. By the end of the day, Arsenal, they got over the line today, man. 1-0. It wasn't pretty. It really is pretty, to be fair, for Arsenal. You get those rare occasions, you know, against Fulham, where they play some absolute champagne football. But we all know this Arsenal team. We all know the identity of this Arsenal team, where it's just like they're strong at the back. they're strong in midfield, and they've got different ways to score goals. They don't score of a bunch of goals in, you know, in one game, but they've got many ways to hurt you. Sometimes it's Trossard, sometimes it's Saka, sometimes Gyökeres pops up into the party, sometimes it's Declan Rice. If they're struggling from open play that day, guess what? We've got corners. Whip it into the box. Oh, that isn't enough for you? Well, guess what? We've got short corners now as well, you know what I'm saying? So they've got different things. Oh, guess what? None of that's working. Eze pop up, edge of the box, bang, absolute banger. So they've got different ways to hurt teams, this Arsenal side, you know what I'm saying? They aren't the most prettiest. They're no, you know, 17, 18, 18, 19 Man City. They're no 08 Man United, where it's just attacking, counter-attacking football, all exciting. But at the end of the day, they do get the job done. And if they do win this league title, you have to say they've deserved it. Because as we all know, when it comes to the Premier League, man, 38 games, you can't luck your way to a Premier League title. Leicester did not luck their way. They deserved it. Blackburn deserved it. Man United, Arsenal teams in the past, Chelsea teams in the past, City teams, you can't luck your way to a Premier League title, you know what I'm saying? So if they do beat Palace, you will have to admit that, yo, they have been the better side. As much as it hurts as a Man City fan, hey man, over 38 games, it's looking like they were the best side, you know what I'm saying? To be fair, let's be honest, Arsenal went on a little shaky run where, you know, they were drawing games. If they had just won those games that they were losing, they were drawing, yo, this title race should have, let's be honest, this title race really should have been wrapped up in March, if we're being honest. Arsenal let Man City back in, and then Man City looked to have fumbled it, you know, with the draws against the likes of Everton and Nottingham Forest. So, man, is what it is. But Arsenal get over the line. Kai Havertz today for me, man of the match. He was the man who got the deciding winner. And yeah, it's just one more game for Arsenal, man. That Crystal Palace away at Selhurst Park. Eze's former team. It'll be poetic if he bags the winner there. But hey, man, one more win for Arsenal, and they will get their first Premier League title in 22 years.